So the second section we're working on today is 1-2, order of operations and evaluating expressions. Since this is review, we're doing 2 sections in one day. Order of operations, hopefully when you hear that word you think of a few things popping into your head. First one should be parentheses. Now when you've done these problems before, you may have just had one set of parentheses. Well, in some of these you may end up with a bracket or braces. When you have more than one set of these symbols, you want to start at the innermost and work your way out. So you'd do everything inside the parentheses, then you'd do everything inside the brackets, and then everything inside the braces. Second thing you'd work on is exponents. And we just went over what exponents were a little bit. So we'll go over them more in our sample problem. Third, we do multiplication and division from left to right. And then lastly, we do all our addition, subtraction, again, from left to right. So when we do a sample problem, if I see 6 plus 4 divided by 2 plus 3, if I just go from left to right, I would get 6 plus 4 is 10 divided by 2 plus 3. Those are just brought down. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 5 plus 3 is 8. But that's not correct because I didn't follow the order of operations. It looks great. It probably makes sense to you since we read from left to right to go left to right on everything. But if we do this, we could end up all with different answers depending on how we look at the problem, and that's why we have to follow the order of operations. So again, we look for parentheses in our problem. There isn't any. So once we have narrowed that down, we look for exponents. In this problem, there are no exponents. So now we could do multiplication and division. So in this one we have division, so that's what we do first. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. Everything else is just brought straight down. Now we have all addition, so we go from left to right. 6 plus 2 is 8. Bring down the 3. 8 plus 3 is 11. And that would be our correct answer. If you get to this step, and this step I would definitely write down, the 8 plus 3, if you add 6 plus 2, get your 8 plus 3 is 11. You may skip this step. That is fine. But some of the steps of doing the division or multiplication you want to do, and then do the addition. One way to keep our order of operations straight is using the acronym PEMDAS. PEMDAS, P for parentheses, E for exponents, M and D for multiplication and division. I usually put my little arrow to show I go from left to right. Addition, subtraction, again, left to right. So let's look at a little harder problem. In this problem, I have multiplication, I have a power, I have division, and I have addition. No parentheses, so I go next to exponents. So the 2 squared means 2 times 2, which is 4. So I write the 4 down, everything else is brought down. And now I look for multiplication and division. I have multiplication and division. I don't just do this multiplication first because it's multiplication. I do it first because it's on the left. So 5 times 4 is 20. Divide by 2. Add 8. Again, this you could all do in a string in your head and not write down this step, but if you start missing problems, I would write down all your steps. So again, 5 times 4 was 20. 20 divided by 2 is 10. Bring down the 8. 10 plus 8 is 18, and we've solved that problem. So in this problem, I see parentheses, and that's where I want to start. But if I look inside those parentheses, there's nothing to do. So I then move on to my exponent. So 3 squared. 3 times 3 is 9, times 4 minus, and Since this is a different string of numbers, I can go ahead and do it at the same time. 3 times 12 is 36. Divide by 2 is just brought down. And now I have multiplication and division, but I have a subtraction in between it. So I have to do 4 times 9 is 36. And then do the 36 divided by 2, which is 18. Again, if you want to write these down at the same time and just come down and get the 36 minus 18, that is fine. 36 minus 18 is 18. And then that problem's done. The last problem in this set is to do something that has parentheses and brackets. So again, you work in the innermost. And inside that parenthesis, I have a job to do. I have 5 minus 3. 5 minus 3 is 2. So everything gets written down again, exactly what it was. Now I take 2 to the 5th. So off to the side here that I was covering up, 2 to the 5th is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So it's multiplying 2 times itself 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. So 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32. So it gets written down. And as you notice, I left the brackets in there because I'm going to have to take this 3 times this number. And now I can take inside the brackets, 32 divided by 4 is 8. 3 times 8 is 24, and that problem is finished. So now if I go back to our homework, and we were at 1.1 problem 24. If I go to the next problem, which is problem 18, I'm at 1.2.10, and I have my exponents in there. I want to keep going with these problems until I'm down to problem 27. So you'll go problem 14 through 27. And again, it has parentheses and brackets. If you go to the next problem, you're 1.3, so you know right there to stop. You're also up here at 28, so make sure you're stopping at number 27 or at the 1.2.37. And now you may begin your homework.